Today we're going to be looking at this non-fiction book called Everything Reptile. And looking at the cover, we can see the title Everything Reptile, and there are pictures of different reptiles. It says What Kids Really Want to Know About Reptiles by Sherry Winner. Sherry Winner also wrote these books, Everything Dog, Everything Cat, Everything Bug, Everything Dolphin. And this is an interesting book because, first of all, it is a non-fiction book. It's not a narrative nonfiction, it's an informational text. And it has a table of contents. And at the back, it has, no index, but it does have a list of resources where you can go to find more information about these animals, and it has a list of websites you can look at too. So I'm going to start by reading the introduction, and we're going to find out a little more about the author and how and why somebody would write this type of book. Introduction. When I was a kid, I loved catching reptiles in the woods near my home. I liked the way garter snakes glided over my hands, and how box turtles shut their shells whenever I got too close. Holding a lizard felt like holding a miniature dinosaur. What could be cooler than that? Not everybody likes reptiles, though. Many people don't know much about them, and some people are downright terrified of them. Lots of the things people say about them aren't true. For instance, reptiles aren't slimy, their blood isn't cold, and they aren't out to get us. Most reptiles just want to be left alone. When I visit schools to talk about animals, most of the kids I meet think reptiles are cool, but a little scary. They've heard stories about reptiles, and they have lots of great questions. I thought it would be fun to gather those stories and questions into a book. Who knows? If the people who don't like reptiles knew more about them, maybe they would realize reptiles aren't so bad after all. Well, that's a good reason to write a book. So I want to read you some of these. There's some interesting questions. So the way it's organized is through questions. What do you mean reptiles aren't slimy? What are the biggest reptiles and the smallest? And that's what we're going to start with. What are the biggest and smallest reptiles? What are the biggest reptiles? The smallest. Reptiles come in all shapes and sizes. The longest ones are pythons and anacondas, which can be 30 feet or longer. They only weigh about 500 pounds, though. The heaviest reptiles are the leatherback sea turtles and saltwater crocs. Both of these giants weigh nearly 2,000 pounds, almost as much as a small car. On the other hand, many reptiles are smaller than your pinky finger. It's hard to say which one is the smallest because new species are discovered every year. Two of the smallest are lizards called the Manito gecko and the Jaragua gecko. Each is just 1.3 inches long, and half of that is tail. They only weigh 4/1000ths of an ounce, less than the weight of 2 Cheerios. So you can see what the author did. She started with a question, and then on that page answered it and included some pictures, which is an interesting way to do it. Now we're going to read, where did it go? Are all turtles slow? Page 35. Are all turtles slow? Yes, on land, turtles are pokey. At top speed, a box turtle might be able to go 2 or 3 city blocks in an hour. Don't let his walking speed fool you, though. If you wave a finger in front of him, he can chomp down on it in a flash. Turtles are much faster in the water than on land. Some freshwater turtles swim faster than fish. Sea turtles migrate hundreds or thousands of miles within a few weeks, so they have great endurance as well as speed. And let's read this one too. How much room do turtles have inside their shell? Not much. Some turtles can't even fit their head inside their shell. Others draw the head straight back into the shell or tuck it in sideways. Either way, it's a tight fit, so tight that a turtle can't breathe while its head and legs are inside the shell. Its lungs don't have room to move. Well, I learned something new today from my book of knowledge. I didn't know that they can't breathe when their head and legs are inside their shell. So that's Everything Reptile. And remember, the thing that made it different is that the author started with a question, and the writing in each section answered that question. And we're going to have you try that today, writing some questions and then seeing what you can write about the answer. Hope you enjoyed the book. Happy writing.